Hello, rejects. It's Greg Alba here. And
I wasn't paying attention. I was looking down.
This is Wendy. This is Wendy. There's no redos now, Wendy.
I'm sorry.
No redos.
I was checking my phone.
This is Wendy.
I'm Wendy.
Collider Videos, the movie couple. A lot of movie talk. Watch her talk? Or
About
listen?
movies.
Yeah, one of those things.
And pick up Twitter questions on Movie Talk.
Yes, exactly.
That's what I do.
Today we're going to do our top 5 favorite comic book movies of all time. For me, for my list, I'm not choosing this based off of like intellectual analyzing. I'm doing this based off solely like the films that have really stuck with me.
Yes.
Some of the films I put on here I haven't seen in a few years, but these are like I took a lot of time to actually think about this. I wrote down like 15 movies.
Me too.
And then I was like, what are the 5 though that really stuck with me? So to kick it off, the 5th one I have is The Crow. I grew up on this film. My parents did not care to censor me when I was younger, so I really watched a lot of violence back then, and The Crow was one of those films. This film is dark, it's stylistic. I read the comic eventually, and it's fairly accurate to the graphic novel. And it kind of looks like granted the graphic novel's in black and white, but it still kind of looks like the graphic novel. Brandon Lee is his last performance, and I thought he was really fucking cool in it, man. Everyone wanted to be Eric from that film, man. I really wanted to be him. He made like clown makeup look kind of cool, actually. It was one of those like comic book movies that I feel like we don't really see now. It's kind of ugly, it's kind of grim, but it's still very stylish at the same time. And the visuals today, to me, are still very impressive. The action could be a little updated, but the visuals are very impressive. The characters are gnarly. To me, I think it might be the first comic book movie I ever actually saw.
My number 5 is actually Marvel's Iron Man.
I didn't know that.
It was just one of the first, next to Spider-Man, the first, for me, my introduction into the rest of the MCU. And I enjoyed it because it mixed, human emotions with action and a little bit of humor, which I can appreciate.
I feel like that film does not get enough credit, honestly. Because even though it's not on my list, Iron Man, to me, I still highly respect that film because there was so much counting on that film, and they took a big gamble with that.
Yeah.
They put Robert Downey Jr. in it. He only got paid $500,000 for that film.
What?
Now he's the highest paid actor in
my
Hollywood because he was like, it's still like you're still recovering from your whole past. And then they had Jon Favreau, who had never done a film on that scale or had to live up to such expectations, and they were counting on this to kick off the MCU, and it did. And it also had like the formula, the structure that a lot of the MCU films have pretty much copied.
And look what it's brought them today.
Look what's brought them today.
Wow.
Exactly.
We're about to get Doctor Strange.
Should have been on my list, actually. My bad. So, even though I think Captain America Civil War is technically a better film than this, it's still my number 4 favorite film. That's Marvel's Avengers Assemble. The Avengers, to me, I primarily put this on my list because of the experience I had when I first saw it. One of the people that went on opening night, there's so much hype around this. This film was built up for years. That hands down the most anticipated comic book movie of all time. So many people just like the Avengers tie-ins. We had never seen them all come on screen together. This was a huge ordeal, and they pulled it off. Most people were very much satisfied. It was a blast in the theaters. It amped up the action. For those who didn't really like Captain America, the first Avenger, they really liked him in this one. The Hulk, they finally nailed him down perfectly. They had Black Widow in there, where she was much better in there than she was in Iron Man 2. And they made Loki scary.
Yeah.
And beyond those like technical improvements, even though Civil War to me is like a better film, I had a much, way more fun time when I saw the Avengers the first time in the theaters.
Do you feel that even though the airport scene was really epic, the scene of them fighting with the worms, the alien worms, can't remember what they're called, do you feel like that whole sequence was better?
Yeah, I think as a whole that sequence was better because there's more weight to it. Even though they're all gonna survive, there was still more of a weight. And even though they're like Iron Man's going up and he's sacrificing himself, like he's not gonna die, but there's still a part of like maybe he'll die, exactly. Just maybe. To me, even though the airport sequence is fucking awesome, I still think that shot where they go around to all the Avengers doing their separate thing.
So good.
I still think that's like the best shot out of the whole MCU.
I literally felt like it was the comic book coming to life right there in front of my eyes.
It was the first time where I felt like the MCU films had achieved that. That were like, the comics are here. Like, they did it.
I geeked out so hard.
They did it. Yeah, it's hard not to. Yeah, it was awesome.
I loved it. For my number 4, I picked The Dark Knight.
Nice.
Yes. Mainly because of the Joker. They finally got that character to the dark, gritty, more modern take than the Cesar Romero or the Jack Nicholson.
There you go.
I'm not saying that, you know, they're all just as iconic, but Heath Ledger really, really delivered. It's interesting to think, I always think back, especially now that Suicide Squad came out, what Joker would have been like. What's the next evolution of the Joker had Heath Ledger not passed?
Right. Although, you know, like, I think like everyone on YouTube would agree, Jared Leto's the best Joker. Let that sink in. That's right, I said it. Do I mean it? No, I don't mean that. Heath Ledger was the best Joker. Number 3 for me is the film where I like to say, before there was Deadpool, there was Kick-Ass.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people have forgotten about Kick-Ass because, yeah, it's not as big of a comic book, or the characters aren't as big as as Deadpool, but still, it was like an R-rated adaptation of this comic book and it was very violent. They did some very edgy things in there. And the main badass in the film was a 12-year-old girl. And she was so cool. They did something that I just didn't think could ever be done. They made a 12-year-old girl the most badass thing ever.
Yes.
Okay, you cunts. Let's see what you can do now.
Without Kick-Ass, there'd be no Stranger Things. That's not true. That doesn't even make sense in comparison, really.
It works.
It kind of works, yeah, because
Sure,
there's a
why not?
badass
Yeah,
in there.
exactly.
Okay.
Why not?
But anyway, I was laughing throughout. It was very self-aware, you know, meta at the same time. Nicolas Cage, I thought, had a really cool role. Like, when people look back on what's the last cool Nicolas Cage film, people tend to reference Kick-Ass.
Yes.
There's been some good work he's done after Kick-Ass, but most people will reference Kick-Ass. And Chloe Grace Moretz, she wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that film.
Yeah, I really loved her in that.
Matthew Vaughn would not have gotten X-Men First Class if it wasn't for his work on Kick-Ass, or he wouldn't have gotten Kingsman either. Like, he really solidified a unique style for that film, and he showed that he really understands comic books, and he wasn't afraid to push boundaries in it. And you got 2 Quicksilvers in there. Do you know Evan Peterson's in there?
That's
It's crazy.
right.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Fun fact, movies.
For my number 3, I picked Dread.
Dread,
And
nice,
I
good
actually
call.
saw this on Netflix because for some reason I confused it with Doom. Do you remember Doom?
Yeah, with The Rock.
Yeah, I confused it with that, and I guess maybe Carl Urban was in it too, and maybe that's why I confused it.
I think so, yeah.
So then my husband's like, oh no, you need to watch Dread. This is such a good movie. So we watched it, and my mind was blown. And I can appreciate that an actor picks a role that, you know, requires him to wear a helmet that hides his beautiful face the entire time.
Yeah.
Able to deliver. Lena Headey, or Headley, however you say her last name, phenomenal.
And it's
Phenomenal
very
villain.
visually shot,
Yes.
very stylistic too. Like, it's cool. It's like a sci-fi comic book movie, like in terms of like a dystopian kind of future.
Yeah.
Like, it was really neat.
Seriously loved it.
But it doesn't beat Judge Dredd with Sylvester Stallone and Rob Schneider.
Didn't see that.
You didn't see that?
No, I didn't see it. Should I? Should I see it?
Oh,
Maybe not.
it's so good.
Oh.
I am the law. I never broke the law. I am the law. You betray the law. Law. Mr. I am the law.
So my number 2 choice is a film that really stuck with me throughout the years. It was a very unique theater experience. I had to sneak into there because I wasn't quite 18 yet. Sin City.
Ah, yes.
Sin City has got to be the most loyal comic book adaptation ever put on the big screen. It looks exactly like the comic. The script is pretty much the comic books that it's based on. So much of the work in comic book movies today are inspired by Frank Miller's work. You know, whether it be 300 or even Zack Snyder being like, oh, we're going to base it off The Dark Knight Returns. This is the best adaptation he's ever had. It gave us a chance for Frank Miller to also be behind the camera. So that's why we got a great film like The Spirit that everyone loved.
Oh.
Sam Jackson and Scarlett Johansson. He started it. Frank Miller started it. Anyway. But yeah, Sin City to me, it was so cool. Like, I didn't grow up on film noir films, but this film got me interested in film noir and understanding what the genre was. It introduced it in this like hyper visual way, and Robert Rodriguez and Frank Miller put together something that people have attempted to do before, but not everyone could really get on board. And they went to a full maximum with it, and we're like, we're gonna make this look exactly like the comic. This is gonna look like a comic book brought to life, and it was fucking awesome. Bruce Willis was cool. This started the comeback of Mickey Rourke.
Yes.
Like, after that, then The Wrestler came. Clive Owen was so fucking cool in that film. Sin City to me was like, it's super violent, super dark, pretty twisted, visually exciting. It's the ultimate comic book movie. It's one of those things where if you read the comic, you're gonna be thoroughly satisfied when you actually watch the film.
I feel like that movie had like an all-star cast.
Yeah, Benicio del Toro's in there.
Yeah, Brittany Murphy,
And who else?
Jessica Alba.
Jessica Elba. Michael Clark Duncan.
Yes. Oh, and
Elijah
Wood.
Wood.
Elijah Wood.
Playing John Humphrey.
Yeah.
Getting John.
Lay out.
If I didn't like that character, I'd be mad.
He's such a cool character. For my number 2, I picked Captain America: Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier.
The story of Bucky comes back because I was slightly disappointed in the Captain America First Avenger.
I don't like that movie.
It was okay, you know. I like to see an origin story, but it fell a little flat for me.
Yeah.
For it being the Captain America movie, so this movie totally redeemed it for me. I love just seeing how much Steve Rogers cared for his friend at the length
Absolutely.
he would go to, and just Sebastian Stan brings it every single time.
And it's just a really cool spy movie too.
Yeah.
And for the MCU was known for like infusing a lot of humor throughout. I think that's their most serious film they've ever
Yeah.
done. And it worked. It didn't turn off audiences. It's like, no, we can make a really serious, epic movie. And it really flipped things and really shifted the whole direction of the universe. And I really feel like no one was expecting that. And they made Captain America way more badass. And like
they
the
did.
action and stuff, like they really improved. That's funny because a lot of people don't really like the first Avenger, but a lot of people might list the Winter Soldier as
Yeah.
like their favorite one.
I just wonder if because Winter Soldier is set in modern time and it had, you know, cameos from like Black Widow and the characters we know now, as opposed to the first Avengers, it was just Chris Evans.
Yeah,
Peggy
that's
Carter.
fair.
So, and I wonder if that's what turned some people off.
I feel like they were just trying to rush through it.
The first one?
Yeah.
A little bit.
And they montage all the cool stuff.
Yeah,
all the
that's
cool
true.
stuff we could have like seen
That's
him do.
true.
It's like you just montage it now. It's like,
It's
oh,
gone. Wasted.
we just thought those were like scenes that they cut out, took parts from scenes and put them in the trailer, and then we realized they just
Put
showed the
this in.
montage in the
Put this
trailer.
in.
Yeah. My number 1 is the movie. I have never seen a film more times in the theaters than this film. I saw this film 9 times in the theaters.
Whoa.
And that is one of Wendy's choices, The Dark Knight. I adored this film. Absolutely adored it. I saw it 6 times on IMAX. It was if you guys haven't been to a real IMAX theater, you gotta go. Because it's a totally different experience when the film is shot with actual IMAX cameras. And this was the very first film that ever did that. Only a few scenes in IMAX cameras, and it was the most insane experience. Because now when you see that in like, if you go to like City Walk or something,
Yeah.
where you see it, it's not as big of a deal now when they shoot it with IMAX cameras. But every single time, I saw it in the first like few weeks 9 times. Every single time I went on IMAX, that opening shot of Gotham City, the audience you could hear everyone just murmuring and shifting around because it was terrifying. Like, holy shit, we're really in.
We're in Gotham!
And yeah, of course, Heath Ledger as the Joker, all defining. He won the Oscar, totally deserved it. And despite what you feel about Christian Bale's voice, it is still the Batman voice.
Yes.
You'll be in a better jail forever.
I know Kevin Conroy in the animated series and the games has the coolest speaking Batman voice, but the Batman voice that people go to do has become Christian Bale's voice as Batman. Batman.
It's everybody
Yeah,
does that
that's what
now.
everyone does to do. But even Ben Affleck's little voice changer thing.
It's still similar.
Still kind of has the rasping going on.
Exactly.
And I really love that they made other characters even more significant and more important. Like Gary Oldman as Commissioner Gordon was awesome in the film. That moment when like where Two-Face has his daughter and then Gary Oldman's like crying and blaming himself. Like that was a real heartbreaking moment. And Two-Face was really cool. Like when we saw Two-Face on screen, we got Tommy Lee Jones in Batman Forever, which is not good. And then they really did a great job with showing us who Harvey Dent is and not focusing on Two-Face.
Yeah.
Yeah, to me, it's the best comic book film of all time. It's a crime epic film as well. I think it was the first comic book movie to really blend a genre.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to take this Batman story, but this is a crime world, so let's make it a crime movie more than... It's not a superhero. That's another thing I love about it.
Yeah.
It's like Batman's categorized as a superhero, but he's not super. He's just a skillful hero, you know? Yeah, this is so quotable. It's so
Definitely,
fucking
yeah,
quotable.
100% quotable and definitely my favorite out of the franchise. And for my number 1 comic book movie, I'm picking Deadpool.
Deadpool, nice call.
Talk about a comic movie that knows it's a comic book movie, so it's not taking itself too seriously.
That's true.
And props to the marketing team over there
Yeah,
at Fox
yeah.
because it's probably the best marketing I've seen for a comic book movie.
It's the most edgy, for sure.
Yeah.
Although you need a span of serious comic book movies in order for Deadpool to work.
Yeah.
You know,
So it kind of paved the road for
yeah, exactly. Because you can't, if like Deadpool was like the start, I don't think it would have worked.
I wonder if without Green Lantern there wouldn't have been Deadpool, because Ryan Reynolds
Yeah,
really
probably.
wanted to redeem himself after
Yeah,
that
that's
movie.
true. That's
Yeah.
true. I mean, Deadpool is a very special, magical film. I remember I was watching on Movie Fights. Who's that? Sasha?
Sasha Proraver?
Yes. She was on Movie Fights, and she was arguing that if a movie were to get a lot of funding for a sequel, she would have picked Deadpool Part 2.
Yes.
I was agreeing with what the other people were saying, that Deadpool is something that, like, because of its low budget, only like $50 million budget, they made a real story out of it. It wasn't about spectacle. He's not even really a hero.
No, he's an anti-hero.
Yeah,
for sure.
because he's not like on a heroic mission. He's on a revenge quest. And, like, technically, that's what
not
he's
even a
on.
vigilante.
Yeah, he's not even a vigilante. He just ends up having to save his girl by the end of the film.
Yeah.
But through most of it, it's just a revenge mission. Yeah, I really love that film. Deadpool was awesome. I saw it twice in the theaters
Yeah.
too.
It's a quotable too, 100%
super quotable.
Maximum
Super
effort.
quotable. That's the only good thing that came out of X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Yes.
I remember when I saw Origins Wolverine before all the reviews came out, and I actually watched it, and I hated the film, and I was one of those people who was like, but Ryan Reynolds was awesome in the film. He's only in it for a few minutes, but he was great.
Yeah.
And it took 10 years, but I love that.
Oh, yeah.
It's like such a fan service movie, and it's cool that a fan service movie was accepted by the masses, you know? Is it like the highest grossing R-rated film now?
Yeah, I think so.
Is that
At
still
least
Passion of the Christ?
Yeah, I want to say it's Deadpool now.
Okay.
I love that he was able to break the fourth wall and without it looking cheesy. I was worried
Yeah.
about that. I was like, oh, he's talking directly to the camera.
Yeah.
We're gonna get tired of it. I never got tired of it. In fact, I wanted it more.
Yeah, it wasn't over. Did you ever see the movie Kiss Kiss Bang Bang?
Yes, I did.
I really loved that film, but I feel like in the first half, I felt like Downey Jr. breaks the fourth wall a little too much in that film. And I was worried about that too with Deadpool. Like, is he going to do that too often to the point where I get annoyed?
Yeah.
But no, that was a very, very well crafted movie.
Were you ever worried about Ed Skrein, or how you say his last name, Ed Skrein? We're just gonna go with it. The villain, Francis, in the movie, how he was gonna be.
No, I wasn't worried about that.
Because did you see Transporter Refueled?
No, I didn't see that.
Oh, Ed. Oh,
I didn't see. No, that wasn't good.
Not so great. Not so great. And I remember when Ed was on Game of Thrones.
Oh,
Like season
Oh, yeah.
3, season 2.
I know that because I'm a huge Game of Thrones fan. I watch every episode of Game of Thrones.
I was a little worried about his acting. No More Fear. I thought he did really well.
I love what they did. I mean, some people complain that, you know, he's still not the most definitive kind of villain, really. I love that the film establishes that in its opening credits.
Yes.
You know, like a British guy. What does it say in the title?
Yeah, British villain.
British villain. Yeah.
Typical.
So you think and it sets it up like, oh, he's just going to be typical. But there were more layers to him
Yeah.
that made him interesting enough. And by the end, you did want to see him die.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas I usually feel like in comic book movies, a villain, like, you're just annoying and I want you dead. And this one, you're like,
You
this
straight
guy
up hated him.
deserves
Yeah.
to die.
Just
yeah.
kill him.
Yeah, this guy has ruined our main character's life. Like, he deserves death.
Yes.
All right, guys. Well, that's it for our top 5 favorite comic book movies of all time. Here's a YouTube question to ask. What are your favorite comic book movies? Put them in the comments below. Like this video. Share this video. We said all the necessary things in an outro. Subscribe to The Real Rejects. Become a reject today. Wendy is part of Collider Videos, and she has her own channel called The Movie Couple, where she does movie talk, trailer reviews with her hubby, not boyfriend. I feel like a lot of people start channels together who are just boyfriend and girlfriend.
Yeah.
Dangerous territory. I'm letting you know
Wait
that.
till you're married and then you do it.
Wait till you're married. Because, yeah, if something happened with them, it's not going to just be like, all right, you could have the channel. No, it's going to be like lawyers and shit.
I'll take this
Yeah.
half, you take that half. You can take the comment section. I'll take the view.